Never mind, Dr. Sellen has a question. Hold on.
Hi, is this working? Is this thing working? Thanks. I have a really big question, and I think could go out to anyone who has spoken this afternoon. As I mentioned in my opening comments today, the Water Futures Games is an outgrowth of the Colorado Water Workshop with a special focus on the next generation and the challenges that they are going to face and the preparation that they'll need to face those challenges. So we've had a wide range of speakers with different kinds of expertise and from different kinds of organizations. Like I said, this is a big question, but if you're speaking to students today, for example, undergraduate or graduate students, early career professionals, what is it that you find most valuable in your coworkers, in your employees? What advice might you give to people considering a career in water and everything that that entails? And I may have jumped in a bit early. That was not just simply for Taylor, but for anyone who might be who was on this last panel this afternoon.
I can, if there are people with, more experience than me that could probably chime in more, but I mean, a great start is studying water in Colorado. So if you're doing that already, you're in a good place. I think Colorado offers a pretty unique water perspective, and just my experience in talking with people around the country is that it's really looked at as kind of a leader in the field of water management. So it's a good thing community to dive into. And then, yeah, just the various like pond organizations and resume events. And I think Colorado does a really good job as well of creating a community to engage with, and getting involved with that. It's really helpful.
Thanks.
Yes, so I believe anybody can join in now, as it's our discussion time, and we'd love to hear from all of our speakers from this afternoon. Zach Dutra is, I think, unmuting everybody or allowing everybody to, if you want to speak up, you can with any questions that you might have.
Yeah, and I was just gonna follow up with Taylor's answer. I personally did not study water in Colorado, but have been passionate and interested about getting involved. So getting involved with organizations like Pond has been really beneficial and has helped me get educated in all that goes into it. And I feel like there's still a lot for me to learn, but yeah, there's never, you can never ask, there's no such thing as dumb questions. I know that I feel like everyone tells us that all the time, but always ask questions, find people that are willing to answer them, and also finding mentors within the water community can be very beneficial, and just attend events and things like this. So anyone that's on this call is probably already a step ahead of the game. So that would be my advice.
Hey everybody, this is Molly. Some of you may know me. I started out in Gunnison, or started my career in Gunnison, and worked for the Upper Gunnison and the bunch of nonprofits in the area. And just my tips for you guys is you're doing everything right, especially with the Western Water Channel. I think it's a great opportunity for students to start reaching out to people, and definitely make sure you go to all those conferences, meet everybody, make sure they know who you are. I made some awesome connections at Denver Water, and now I work there, and it's really great company. So if you have any questions, feel free to shoot me a message, but it's not always about what you know, it's who you know. And that goes a long way. So make sure you're attending things and stay strong and passionate, and you'll do great.
Yep. Thank you, Molly, for being our contact at Denver Water and setting up Taylor and Lorna this afternoon. That was very helpful. Do we have any other questions for Taylor, anybody? Otherwise, I will jump back into the chat, and I believe Matt asked, I think it was directed at Irene, what do the pond snowtail events usually look like? I think Sonia also answered what the Upper Gunnisons look like, but if you want to take a minute there.
Yeah, we were supposed to have a snowtail event this April, but it got canceled, unfortunately, because of the pandemic. But the snowtail events are normally a day that you go up to the, I think it's like a short hike in with either skins or snowshoe, things like that. And then we have a presenter, speak to different information about snow science. I haven't personally organized it in the past, but I know I have some more information I can send off into the chat about that event. We'll hopefully put it on next spring, winter, springtime frame, once if things open up again and there's snow on the ground. So yeah.
The Upper Gunnison is also willing to, just if you're interested in learning how we utilize the equipment or what we do, we're happy to take volunteers at any time, just a small group typically.
Oh, that's great. Yeah, that'd be awesome.
Awesome. Those both sound like great opportunities. For any students at Western, you're also free, and any community members in the Gunnison Basin as well, you're free to join the water channel in our snow survey. It's not quite as technologically intensive as either of those, as we just go out with snowshoes and measure the depth, but we try and do that every spring as well. Since I don't see any other questions in the chat, I'll ask one that I came up with while I was listening. So I know Taylor mentioned the interconnectedness of our systems. What do you think about a way to educate users of those different systems about how they're interconnected and how important that interconnectedness is when we see issues like forest management and water health and wildfire?
Yeah, it's a good question. And I think there's a ton of great work on that already in Colorado. Again, it's something we're lucky to have. But again, it's something that can continue to be expanded upon. So just starting with Denver Water. So we have an education program where I think it's focused on youth education, where they go around to schools throughout our service area and educate them on these complicated systems you're talking about. And then there's Water Education Colorado, which is an incredible organization. They put out freshwater news, which anyone can sign up for, and keeps a good pulse on what's going on in Colorado water. And they also have their citizen guides, which you might be familiar with, but they are like there's quite a few of them. There's like a groundwater citizen guide. They're eluding me now. But there's many citizen guides that are sort of high level views of water in Colorado. They're high level, but they provide a lot of detail, if that makes any sense. And I would definitely recommend getting your hands on those. And that's probably the most comprehensive look that anyone can get to be educated on Colorado water.
Excellent, thank you.
Those first come to mind, yeah.
So another question I had for Jack, when you were talking about the rest of the technologies and infrastructure being built for that, I know Tyler Benton mentioned this as well, but he had to hop off. But do you see any challenges meeting those deadlines coming up, or are we on track?
Challenges in terms of like project schedule for getting the infrastructure in the ground and stuff like that, or what?
Yeah, challenges on that front, or as we're seeing challenges facing where the money's coming from, is that going to impact those projects in any way?
Not that Binney Connection project that I mentioned. What's nice about, or at least what I know about how water funding goes in public organizations and others that work there can correct me, but a lot of the funding is actually kind of spoken for up front. So a lot of the funding has already been made available to the project historically. So it's not, the municipal market isn't quite as volatile as some of the private ones in the stock market or something like that. So the funds have already kind of been allocated for that project. So I don't anticipate there being any funding challenges there. And then in terms of schedule, what I've actually heard is that a lot of construction is still moving forward, of course, with the appropriate social distancing guidelines. And I think folks are eager to continue working, so everybody's eager to continue to put people to work to get the projects in the ground that are needed for these types of partnerships. So I think everything's really moving forward full steam ahead. So I don't anticipate there being any delays as a result of recent events or global pandemics or anything like that.
Excellent.
Did that answer your question?
Yeah.
Sweet.
Cool. I'll ask the audience if there's any other questions for our panelists. Otherwise, that'll wrap up the day, and I'll do a quick conclusion on the day here in a second. Oh, Zach has a question.
Yeah, my question is for Sonia, and it's about the drought contingency plan and Blue Mesa Reservoir specifically. I know in the past, not last year, but the year before, it was dangerously low water levels. The blue-green algae was forming a lot, and the marinas had to shut down early. With our water being pulled out of the basin and downstream, is that sort of what the new norm is going to look like for Blue Mesa, or is there any sort of plan to mitigate that problem, keeping water here in the Upper Gunnison Basin?
I think so. So Zach, I don't know a lot about the blue-green algae that we had in. I remember when that came out in the newspaper and stuff, but I don't remember figuring out what the cause of that was. I don't know that it's directly related to any withdrawals from the reservoir. It could just be in years when we start out with a low, we end the September or fall with the low water levels in the reservoir, and then we go into the next year into a drought. That was kind of what happened in 2017, 2018. So with regard to keeping water up here in the Upper Gunnison, I think we are and have been looking at various locations for storage projects. And I think it's just about, we've explored ideas about having a conservation program specific to the Upper Gunnison where water users and agricultural producers could conserve water, put it into some type of a water bank, but it would be specifically to satisfy any potential downstream calls in bad years and protect those water users directly. And then there are other types of programs that we've thought of just with regard to conservation that might deal directly with just a landowner wanting to leave water within the stream just to benefit the fish or in-stream flows, but it would be a voluntary type effort. So stay tuned. I mean, if you're interested in some of this stuff, I'd say, come to one of our board meetings or get involved in the Upper Gunnison.
Thank you.
And Max, I had one more educational idea come to mind, which is who knows when these will return, but there are many great tours that different organizations give throughout Colorado. So like I know, and they're usually free. They're like day bus tours where you go to reservoirs and agricultural ditches. And so, I mean, ones I can think of, Northern Water gives some. I know Water Education Colorado gives some. I think Denver Water gives some. And I think various ag entities give some. But anyways, they're usually blasted out through email lists and whatnot. But getting on those tours is a great way to really understand the water system throughout Colorado.
Excellent. I think that looks like it for the questions. I will do a quick wrap up now if there's no more. Thank you to Taylor and all the other speakers from this afternoon.